Welcome to the Local Exchange Podcast, where Northwest Ohio comes to talk. Real people, real conversations, right here in our community. This episode is proudly brought to you by Caliber Custom Clothiers, defining style beyond ordinary. I tell you what, we are joined here by Ryan Schott. Ryan, thank you very much for joining us on the Local Exchange Podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Now, I got to say, I'm a little bit relieved. We've done 4 interviews before you, and they're all for candidates for the Shawnee Township position, and all of them brought up the fire department quite a bit. And so we wanted to reach out to somebody on the fire department, but you're retired. Let's make that clear. Can you just kind of tell us about yourself? That's the easiest way to do this.
I was born and raised in Salina. My dad was a career firefighter there. He retired about 9 years ago. I graduated in 1998, started at the fire department down there as part-time. In 1999, took classes in high school, went to the fire academy in 1999 during the summer, and applied at Shawnee while I was down there. And while I was down there, Chief Litzy at the time called me and was updating resumes. And I said, well, Chief, just so happens I just graduated from the fire academy, got my paramedic. He's like, interesting. And 6 weeks later, I had a job.
Okay.
So I started with Shawnee in October of 1999 and put in almost 26 years, and I retired this July.
July of this year, then?
Yes.
So very recent retiree.
Yes.
How's it feel?
I can't collect my pension yet because you got to be 48, but to be home with the wife and kids, and I now work at the refinery full-time for another retired firefighter doing basically the same thing within the refinery.
So not really retired.
The stress is gone.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, that's something.
And being home every night and every weekend is fantastic.
Good.
Now, Ryan, you told me yesterday, we were talking a little bit, you were out fishing over the weekend up in Lake Erie. Is that something you do quite a bit?
I try to get up there a couple times a year. We go up in the spring, walleye fishing, and then we try to end of the year getting some perch so my best friend can fry some serious fish.
Okay. And are you always going to kind of the same spot for your fishing, or you kind of go a couple of different spots?
We use the same charter, and they go wherever the fish are biting. And
okay.
We try our best to catch them.
That sounds like he doesn't want to tell you where the fish are.
Yeah, where's the secret spot?
That sounds like that.
I can tell you there's Davis Bessie and there's that, but what can and all that stuff and the coordinates,
Sure.
That's not on me.
I've gone out on the dock in Indian Lake with my in-laws and sat there with my children, and it's somehow my kids are always the one who catch the fish and none of the adults are able to. So I just have never really given it a shot in a formal setting the way you have.
My boy was just out catching me, that was for sure. And then you said there was 6 of us on the boat, and it was funny. The one gentleman that was on the boat with us, his wife was taking the fish off the hook for him and baiting it for him. He wouldn't touch it.
Okay, a little too chicken to get in there close. That's funny. I think there's an old family video of my parents, and the same thing was going on for that. My mom had to do all the work, and she was just giving my dad heck for that. But so you're not employed by the department anymore. So anything you say here is just kind of your observation of the fire department. Those will kind of be the things we're going to want to learn about. Don't worry about Matt. He's over adjusting the camera. But I just want to make it 100% clear. This is just your experience in the fire department that you're going to talk about. You're not a representative here speaking on behalf of the fire department.
No, I'm a retiree from Local 2550, and I have survived all of this stuff and have a lot of firsthand knowledge, and there's a lot that needs to get out there.
Yeah.
And here I am.
Now, I see you wearing a Shawnee shirt. Are you a resident of Shawnee?
Yes. When I was hired, we had to live within a 12-mile radius of the station. So I moved up here in the fall of 2002 and live up here since then, bought a house. The kids are in school, and we're Shawnee parents now.
Now, you say when you started, you had to live within a 12-mile radius, and I don't want to jump way ahead, but that's an issue that appears to be a thing now. Is that no longer the case?
Now it is. It went from the 12-mile radius to an adjoining county, to Allen County, and now with the hardness of getting good applicants, Now I think they really gave away the residency. So as long as you make it to work,
If you can get there, you can get
you're
there.
good to go.
You live in Indiana.
And has that kind of been the standard across most fire departments, do you think, or is that unique to Shawnee?
It varies. Like Van Wert, St. Mary's, Salina, they do a lot of callbacks. So it's beneficial to live in your community so you can make it in to the station to make your callbacks. A lot of Lima guys live out here and elsewhere, but the adjoining county. But then now the new trend is people going down to the Columbus area, and they're driving an hour and a half from up here to go down there.
Is that because it's better equipment, better staff, better hours, better pay? What's your takeaway from why that may be the case?
Their tax base down there is just out of this world, and all the suburbs around the 270 belt. I never thought in my life you could see $100,000 a year firefighter, and now you start down there.
Where are we at roughly? Like if you just gave an average of what run of the mill firefighter, not fire chief, not captain, whatever the hierarchy is, just your run of the mill firefighter. Where are we at here roughly in Shawnee?
In Shawnee, I think it's right around $68,000 a year to start out as a fully trained firefighter.
It's a big jump.
Yes.
Okay.
I know,
worth the hour and a half drive each way.
Yeah.
To some people.
Yeah, to some people. I mean, because our pension is 60% of your highest 5-year average, so
right, that adds up.
That's significant money.
Now, if I start driving an hour and a half to work every day, that's 5 days a week for me. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing a 3-hour round trip. How many days firefighters work different shifts than what I work? So how many days are they actually going to work when you're talking about that?
There's several different shift patterns. Allen County, we work, it's called a California swing. So today is Sunday. So I believe C shift is on. So they work Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, 24 hours a shift. And then they're off 4 days. And then it would go Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and just continue rotating. So you fill out the calendar, as long as you don't change shifts, your schedule for your career.
Okay, but I mean the round trips are far less frequent than what I'm doing.
They're not going 5 days a week. Yeah. It's more of
it's roughly 10 days a month is what we work.
3 days a week.
But now like Bath Township just switched to you work 1 day, you're off 3 days. So that's only 8 days a month now to try to reduce the fatigue and the wear and tear.
Has Shawnee, for as long as you've been at Shawnee, has it always been 3 days roughly?
It's always been the same cycle. Yes. And then there's other departments, they work every third day. And that's what most of the Columbus areas work. So
okay. It's always fascinating to me because it's an entirely different lifestyle. And I don't know that necessarily people get it, which is, why I'm one of the reasons we did this was there's just a lot that people don't know about not just the fire department, all sorts of things that happen in and around their communities. And like a week ago, if you'd have asked me what does the fire station need a Chevy Tahoe for, I'd have had no idea. And in the last week, I have a legitimate answer that makes sense and I'm good with. So it's fascinating to figure out how different of a lifestyle it is when someone is a firefighter, police officer. Can you sort of dovetail into like what does a day look like for you? Is it is your weekly schedule this? Do you have things you got to accomplish every week? Is it every day we do the same 10 things in order pending on calls?
Yeah, there's busy work schedules as we call it. Shift starts at 7 a.m. You get there a little early, get your gear on your truck, come in, sit down at the table. The officer goes over the duties of the day, and then our shift would have breakfast, and then by 8:30 we go out and do chores, check in our trucks, and then depending in between calls, we'd have set things to do, training. There's daily chores for each day, cleaning the trucks, inventorying this, inventorying that, washing the bay floors, all sorts of things. And then lunchtime, and then afternoons you try to settle down a little bit, get a workout in, plan your dinner, and then usually after 4 o'clock it's kind of downtime.
Okay.
Now you talk about that workout. I had heard a rumor that you guys are it's not a requirement, but you're incentivized to work out and stay active like a certain number of hours a week. What, is there some metric behind that, or is that true?
I believe this last contract, it was 120 hours a year you had to log to get the fitness incentive.
Okay. So that's a specific incentive that the township puts, or the department has in place for you?
Yes, you got to get your workout hours in, and then
on that, and this is on the job.
On or
while
off
waiting,
duty.
right?
On or off
so
duty.
it could be off duty.
Yes,
Okay.
but you're there for 24 hours, so it's a nice.
You're going to have
stress
some time
relief.
to kill, right?
I mean, if I just go for a walk, is that logging the
There's
time?
no set standard on when it has to be, so
Okay. So I can go play some hoops or something? And
pickleball, hoops,
okay.
whatever you feel like.
Nice. Well, I wish that I need to talk to my work about getting some workout incentives in. That'd be nice.
That's one good benefit, and with a grant and a donation from a local business, like Shawnee has one of the better fitness facilities in the area.
Okay. And is there a little competition in the weight room there?
Guys can be very, very competitive.
Okay. Did you have a favorite workout in there? Anything that you took pride in?
I was in the bench press and running my mouth. That was kind of my workout. But we had some guys that take it very serious and are very strong.
There's some guys. We were over at the pancake breakfast not long ago, and guys stay in shape, which is you want, but I guess when you're incentivized to lift some weights, why not do it?
Oh yeah, we've got some guys that are serious in the CrossFit, others that just lift weights. One guy's in the military, so he's got to keep up that. And then you have the shift competition on who can do the most, and you get a little sore from now and then. But I'm 46 now. I was 45 when I left, but you get the 20-some-year-olds. You got to try to keep up with the young guys.
Got to make sure to put them in their place.
Yes.
So it's just like everything else then.
Oh, absolutely.
Everything's a competition.
Very competitive spirit in the firehouse.
Is it competitive like shift A to B to C? A lot of times we hear, like I've seen in like TV shows, like shift A hates shift B thinks shift C is the worst. Is there, or are you guys just straight up camaraderie and it's all just in good fun?
It's all in good fun, but it's always the other shift's fault.
Okay. Well, sure. That's kind of like 3 shifts at a company then, because I'm in outside sales, and sometimes I'll go in to say, oh yeah, the guys on second shift just completely screw everything up for us, and they don't take it. Same kind of thing will happen.
It's never our fault. It's always the guys.
That's my kid's philosophy too. It was always the other kid's fault.
Absolutely.
Well, it is kind of interesting because, I mean, you guys are, essentially sharing beds and sharing a house, if you will.
Yep. And beds, a house, recliners, and 3 refrigerators.
Now, one other thing that just came to my mind was firefighters are well known for a nice firefighter mustache. I noticed you are not down. You don't have one, but is that pretty common throughout the firefighter community? And I mean, is there some competition among who has the most full or beautiful mustache?
There was a lot of them around earlier in my career, and then we had one. He'd get the wax out and everything else. He's since retired, but the big thing is no shave November.
Okay.
So a lot of the guys will do that, but I'm not allowed to participate in those by the boss.
Oh, okay. We all, if you're lucky enough to have a boss, but so how many people are on a typical shift for you?
There's 7 on each shift. We're allowed to have 1 guy off each day, so you're running with 6, and then there's the chief, fire prevention officer, and the administrative assistant up front.
And do you feel like that's a good enough number, like for the amount of work that you guys are doing in a day?
Varies on the day. Earlier in my career, when we were only doing about 900 calls a year, we had the same 6 and 7, and you could go a 3-day tour and not turn a call, and the block walls would talk to you. Now they're over 2,000 calls a year, and with everything else staying busy out in the community, there's times we could use 2-3 extra.
And when you talk about those calls and the volume that you're getting, what are those typically like? I mean, you're known as the fire department, but I mean, is it normally structural fires? You getting a lot of medical calls? What makes up the most, car accidents? What makes them up the most of what a regular day is?
I would say Shawnee is probably 85 to 90% medical calls, helping people up, taking them to the hospital, and then the burn complaints, the burning the leaves, burning the sticks, having the little campfire complaints.
If I don't mention this, my wife will murder me. I won't have a boss. I'll be fired.
Okay.
Do you know the rules regarding what you can and cannot burn? Because I've heard so many different things.
I had the fire department pull up to my house, and I went up out front, and I said, "What are you guys here for?" And they said,
"You."
I think for you. And I was like, "Oh." And
I can't state the sheet specifically, but it's like sticks out of your yard, you can burn, but there's a size requirement. It might be like 3 foot or your little patio thing.
Right.
But the issue comes if the smoke leaves your property and somebody calls and complains, then we got to come.
So it's leaves.
Leaves are.
The leaves are a problem.
Yeah, this time of year is going to get ready to start. The wet leaves will be a problem.
Yeah, don't burn your leaves. Is that your suggestion?
It's very dry right now. There's probably a burn notice out or something.
Do what you got to do to keep your property clean, but I take mine to the township.
Okay.
There is that. If people don't know that, I just found that out a year ago, maybe, that you can take at the township, as long as it's a natural, I don't know what the rules are, but I mean, we can dump trees and brush if we do a lot of yard work, throw it in the back of a truck and just dump it off right there at the township.
Absolutely. Or you can put the sticks out on your yard and call them. They'll come pick them up.
Okay.
I think each of the crews has a little route that they drive each day of the week.
Okay.
And they'll pick them up and they'll pick the leaves up.
So stop throwing them over my neighbor's fence. Is that what? Okay. All right.
Definitely not recommended.
All right.
That's what gets the complaints coming in, the little neighborhood rivalry.
Sorry to Matt's neighbors. We're going to have a little Hatfield McCoy's action going on over there.
But yeah, to get back to it, the fire, Shawnee might be the way it's gone the last few years, maybe 1 or 2 house fires in Shawnee a year. It's really gone down.
So it's a lot of medical. So
it's
what's the requirements for, like, can you sort of educate me on what is the difference between paramedic and firefighter? Some people have both certifications.
Well, we're level 2. You got to be a level 2 firefighter and a paramedic to work at Shawnee, correct?
Yes. State of Ohio, they have a fire academy down in Columbus. That's where most people typically go, but you can get your level 2 through Apollo and Vantage and Vantnort and several other places. But to go down to Columbus, I think it's 10 weeks now. Might be closer to 300 hours, 400 hours to get your level 2. And then the paramedic, you can start out at your EMT, which is 150 hours or so. And then you go into the paramedic, and I think that's almost a year and a half long program now.
I'm surprised that that's not something that Apollo's, that we don't have all those resources at Apollo with as much as they do.
I think they do everything but the paramedic, and I know they've been in talks to have that.
Just you wait. They keep building.
Apollo is a phenomenal program.
Yeah, they do unbelievable work there, so I hope they do. But so now we're kind of talking about staffing, and one of the big things that we've learned in this process is the retention of the employees, in my opinion, seems to be one of the biggest problems that the fire department's facing. And I've learned that a lot of companies in general have a tough time finding skilled workers, people who are willing to work. I think our generation, the newer generation of workers aren't as loyal. They might go down the street for an extra 25 cents an hour. What is the retention problem like for you, and when did that start in your 26-year career?
Fire department wise, retention hasn't really been bad. Up until recently, it started, but throughout my career, we've had 4 or 5 guys that I can think of off the top of my head leave that came from other areas. So opportunities came up closer to home, so they'd leave. And then other than that, everybody's been pretty loyal until recently. I retired in July. Probationary guy resigned at the same time. And then they hired 2 more people. And then here we had a 18-year guy that just took a new position down by Kings Island. And there's some more guys looking.
So when you say recent, would you say this is 5 years ago, 3 years ago?
Let's see. I retired in July, and since then, is when the people started leaving, and I
So
believe
it's your fault.
yes,
People
my
are
fault. Yeah.
jealous of your
I
retirement.
left, and everybody's like, I don't want to be around here anymore. But another guy, I think he just left down by the Dayton area, and depending how this election goes, there's several more that are prepared to go elsewhere.
Do you think it's really that cut and dry? It would come down to this election and what people would stay or not stay?
Absolutely.
Well, one of the things, and I mean, we might jump around a little bit here, but I do hear that, and in most elections, if you look at the percentages and the statistics, the incumbents typically win the elections. I don't know, you could put it 80. I was looking anywhere from 80 to 90% of the time the incumbents win. So we are realistically looking at very least one, but maybe two of these incumbents. And so I think this is kind of a question I was going to ask at the very end. But with that being a very realistic possibility, the concern that I have is like you said, people just deciding that they want to leave and they want to go elsewhere and get away from this situation. But ultimately, we still have a community and we still have a fire department here in Shawnee, and we got to find a way to get over whatever this is that's going on, because it feels like a schoolyard fight almost, and people are pit against each other, and we're not getting good information. It's just, I'm not even asking you a question, but just overall, this is just my observation, and it worries me because I think there's a very realistic possibility that one or both of the incumbents win, and we have to learn how to work with these people. We have to believe that they have the township's best interest at heart, and so there's a lot of people that you work for throughout your career, and you might not love working for them, but we got to find a way to make this happen. Do you think that the people within the department that maybe you don't think are leaving, do you think that there is a good path forward?
Talking with some of them, the best path forward is to better themselves. And right now, money's the big thing. So, if a little adversity kicks in, go elsewhere and get a nice raise.
Like we talked about earlier, if you tell me I can make 20, 30% more money and I have to spend an extra, 20, 30 hours in the car a week, but that's worth it for 20 or 30% more money. If we've incentivized fire departments to take from other fire departments because we've eliminated some sort of geographic boundary of how far you can live, are small communities in real trouble?
Yeah, it's getting harder and harder to find people. I mean, it is with a lot of professions.
Well, how does Shawnee compete with, let's just say, Dublin or Westerville or one of these nice communities that has a way larger tax base? They've got way more money coming into their township, city, what have you. How does Shawnee realistically compete with them?
Shawnee can't afford to. I mean, nobody can afford to compete with those areas. They pay your pension, they pay your medical, and then you have those absorbent salaries.
So financially, we're out of the game. We're like the Cleveland Guardians versus the Dodgers. We financially cannot compete.
Yes.
But is there things that we could be doing to compete to even, like, the Guardians have great pitching, so they always are good at the end of the season and they're playoffs half the time. They compete on a shoestring budget because they're able to go, all right, well, we're just going to focus all of our attention on pitchers. Is there something besides money that Shawnee can be competitive in?
Oh yeah, Shawnee's it's a great community and it's a great department. There's great people there. There's just some rough patches in the path forward here recently. But if you can't compete on that financial stuff, newer equipment is a thing. And since the levy, we've been able to get newer equipment. We got a new truck right after the levy passed, and then just the other day, the new tanker truck came in with the levy money. New ambulances, newer gear, great workout equipment. So there's a lot of positives, and then a lighter call load. I mean, it's a busy call load, but it's not 5,000-10,000 calls a year.
Right.
So that's pretty good. There's a lot of good things about Shawnee. I'm very proud of my career. A great school system here in Shawnee. It's a nice area, country living, so to speak. So there's some things that they can offer, so you don't have to go do that drive.
But it makes it harder if there is infighting and drama. Would you say that's for you? If you were starting over today, is that something that a young firefighter is taking into account? Are they considering, hey, I see, bickering back and forth between fire department, township, there's issues, there's, things going back a ways. And I do believe that Shawnee's trying to, perform better than they have. I wonder, is it affecting getting younger firefighters in here?
The morale and the issues going within the fire department, not just between the fire department and the trustees, but in the fire department itself, that gets around because we all talk.
Shawnee's a small community.
And, everybody has friends elsewhere. So getting people in, like, I don't know about that. We can go elsewhere, but, fixing that stuff would make it a little better. But, it gets back to the loyalty, like you guys said. I like living where I work and staying there. So, if something happens, you can run home. You can go to the kids' sporting events. That's another thing that's really nice about Shawnee. I got a daughter in soccer, and, the kids going up with all the programs Shawnee offers. If we're not busy, you can take the truck, go to the soccer game, go to the football game, go to the dance recital, all the different things. And, if you don't live in your community,
right,
that's something you miss out on. Or, the washing machine breaks or leaks, you can run home real quick, or,
right,
what have you. But the loyalty thing's kind of gone because not so much for us, but otherwise, I know guys that have been to 3, 4, 5 different departments in 10 years or less. So it's just trying to the greener grass, so to say.
Right.
And I would say that seems like it's kind of a common trend across maybe not just the fire department, but other industries. That's what we see at every single different company that I go to in sales. They're dealing with the same thing. One thing that we talked about at some point was volunteers. And our department, I remember a lot of volunteer fire departments involved with Shawnee, like when I was in high school. Is that still something that is in place?
No. Chief Miller ended that within the last year. Obviously before he was walked out of the station, but the fire calls are going away. The members we had, we weren't able to use them to the capacity, so it's, he decided to get rid of, he had some other ideas, but they didn't come through. But when I started, we had a station out in Hume, they're on 501, and the volunteers would respond with a truck out of that because they all lived out in that area. And, then they'd come in and help. And I think we might have had 5 to 10 of them most of the time. But, they get older, they come and go, and life gets in the way. But the volunteer side of it, it's hard with all the training hours and the calls and then trying to get away from life and stuff. It makes it really hard.
Yeah, I could imagine. So I made a stop over. Mindy told me that I needed to get out to the fire station, so I listened to her, took her advice, and stopped out. Got to my son couldn't have been happier. He was kicking and screaming the whole way home when we threw him back in the car. But checked out the new fire engine, and just all the different technology that you guys have. That cool little thing that the stretchers do when you pull them out from the back of the ambulances, and how the pneumatics just come down and
like a transformer.
It was cool. I mean, you guys have a lot of fun toys. Is that normal across all fire departments, or is that kind of unique to Shawnee? Do you feel like you guys had all the tools you needed to succeed?
Like I said earlier, we're well equipped.
Yep.
And, when I started on the ambulance, you had to bend over and lift up the stretcher and all that. Now you just hit the button and it raises itself. I think it goes up to 600, 700 pounds. So, you hardly have to do any of the lifting now. So, but one back injury and that cot pays for itself, and workers' comp will give out grants to buy that equipment. But yeah, we've got battery powered tools on the trucks now. The Milwaukee battery powered tools on the trucks. We like our gadgets and gadgets.
Yeah, it was just between that, the Lucas devices that have been talked about on here. I like to just give credit where credit's due. We talk about issues with funding and questions about where money is, but there really have been a lot of good things that have been put into the fire department. It seems like you guys are pretty well equipped, but at the same time, and there's one room where there's a dehumidifier running and all the ceiling tiles are out, and there's moisture problems being drawn in, and it's just, you can tell that there's some things in that building that certainly need some good investment to.
Oh yeah, it was built in 1959 and was designed for 4 or 5 people, and now there's 10 people in there any given day, and it hasn't had much upkeep and little band-aids here and there. But it's time for something to be done. But did he take you into the lounge and let you see the big 8-foot TV screen?
I did get to see the 8-foot TV screen.
Yeah, that's real nice for movies and PlayStation nights.
Oh yeah. It was I got to mess around with the hose on the back too. My son was having fun, kind of sprayed me a little bit, but
we're all kids at heart.
It was a good time. You get around all those toys and you just get a little bit excited about it.
No, yeah. Did you get you a plastic helmet to take home?
I got a couple of plastic helmets at home. I mean, we were getting just double and triple down the one night. So Jacob at Tiny Tech had the fire department come and everyone got to see him. And then later we ordered Domino's on the pizza delivery night, and sure, we randomly got picked to have the truck come. And so then the guy's like, wait a second, I saw you earlier. More plastic firefighter. I got tattoos. I got all sorts of stuff. I could set up like a little Shawnee Fire Department shop with all the stuff I've got. I got the swag.
You might be able to show up on a call and nobody know.
That's true. If I put the helmet on.
How'd you like the Domino sign on top of the fire truck?
That was a good touch.
That was fantastic.
I thought that's one of those things I wonder who actually thought of that idea.
I think Domino's reached out to Matt Riemann, but Matt has done a fantastic job with the fire prevention. That's a highlight of the year for a lot of the kids with all the stuff he does.
Shawnee's done that well, I feel like, for a very, very long time. They've been very engaged with the school and with kids in different preschools in the area. And like, people love firefighters. They just do, which is probably why the community as a whole, when they see things like water falling from the ceiling, they get a little upset because you guys are, nobody ever says, those firefighters. I hate the fire department. Nobody ever says that.
Firefighters are like one of the coolest jobs you could have.
They're like a cool uncle. They really are.
My kids, we went to church this morning, and I was getting out to take my daughter in, and my son, I could hear him scream from the back seat, "Firefighter Matt!" And I'm just like, how did you even see him? And like, you can just tell the admiration he has. He gets out, gives him a high five. I mean,
we're all kids at heart, and like I said, Matt does a great job. All the programs he has.
So what are some different ways that Shawnee Fire Department gets involved in the community?
Oh man, he does so many things. He goes down to Shawnee Weekday, and they constantly take trucks, police cars, fire trucks down there, and let the kids come out and go through it. Cub Scout groups, Boy Scout groups, Girl Scouts, birthday parties, come to the firehouse and go through stuff. We go down to Elmwood for Fire Prevention Month, and he does things. And Principal Daly had the Daily Mile. Mm-hmm. And I know, was it a couple years ago? We took the ladder truck down there and hooked it up to the fire hydrant there towards the end of the day, sprayed water, and let the kids do the Daily Mile and run through the water. He goes over to Maplewood and does an agility test where they swing the fake axes and drag hose and get a little competitive spirit in them. We go to the middle school and play dodgeball with the 7th and 8th graders.
Oh, you guys play dodgeball with them?
It's 3 or 4 hours straight of dodgeball.
That should be a televised event.
No. No.
Got some adults getting embarrassed out there on the dodgeball
There's adults
court?
Getting embarrassed and kids talking a lot of trash.
I'm sure the cheers get pretty loud when you get a horde of kids going after adults like that. It's like watching Lord of the Flies in real life.
very hard to remember that you're throwing against kids here and you're not trying to take their heads off.
I don't know. There's some big. I got a 6th grader, and he plays on some sports teams with older kids. Kids get big quick.
Yeah, there was one particular that I remember, he could wing that ball.
Now, one thing I think you guys could team up with, like Team Stomp, one of these CrossFit places, and just like once a month put on a fireman-inspired workout class. Just kick our butts, throwing hoses around or climbing up the stairs with something over our shoulder. I mean, you could really, kind of teach the community a little bit about what goes into the job, but also the physical fitness that's required for you guys to do your job.
And you can mark it off your hours.
Yeah, that would be a good thing. So you want to start that up?
Yeah, we'll get that set up. I'm probably not the best example of that with these muscles.
You want June or July in the calendar?
Yeah, we'll line it up for June. It might not be as hot as July, so we'll sweat less. But as long as the hose is spraying and I can run under it at the end, we're good. One thing that I learned that we've talked a little bit about is the dispatch. So explain to me a little bit. So if I have a fire at my house or someone breaks into my house, the first thing I'm doing, I'm going to call 911. Who am I talking to at this point?
Right. When you call 911, it will go to Allen County's 911 center.
Okay.
They'll answer the call, do all the questions like what you see on TV, and then they'll transfer it to Shawnee dispatchers, and then they'll repeat some of the questions and then look at their computer.
So why don't they just shoot me straight to Shawnee right off the start?
That is the way it's been set up my whole career.
Okay.
Shawnee's always had its own dispatch center, and there in the beginning, we had our own direct number to where you could call Shawnee direct, but it's 911 wise always goes through the count. That's something statewide with PSAPs and stuff like that.
Okay.
To where it has to be transferred, and then they call us over and send us out.
Now, if I lived in a different, let's say I lived in, American Township, same process. I call 911 because my mom's having a heart attack. I'm calling Allen County, and then they're sending me to American Township.
Shawnee has our own. I believe Lima Fire and Police have their own. And then the other townships surrounding Lima all go through the county.
Okay. So when they go through the county, that's direct. There's not a delay because I've heard numbers thrown around that there's like a 2-minute delay between, potentially the start of your call and when you finally got finished getting the message out, and that can feel like a lifetime.
Yes, and up until a couple of years ago, when 911 would get transferred, as soon as our dispatcher would pick up the phone, we could hear over the speakers, whoever called 911, we could hear what the issue was. And now with the newer system, that's gone. So we have to wait for them, but there's a TV screen, so you see the call pop up. We can head out if we're paying attention, but there can be a 1, 2, up to 3 minute delay.
Is that there has to be some benefit to doing it that way. It can't be all negative. What would you say is the benefit to why Shawnee's added a step into the process?
I'm going to say why Shawnee added it back in. I don't know, but I would say just a community service. And then when they had the private number, you could just call Shawnee direct.
Right.
And then the dispatchers also answer the phones, so that they can take all your complaints or questions,
right,
and send it to the right. They're kind of like the administrative assistants also, and then they would put in a lot of the information for the police officers. But now I believe the police department put computers in their cars, so they were able to get a lot of the information in their cars. Now they don't have to come back to the dispatch center. But it's with the cost of it and the time delays and stuff. You could go either way, the cost and the benefit. I know back when there was talks of Shawnee, the fire department at least, going to the county dispatch, and that's probably been 5 years ago or so. I mean, it was a significant savings.
So it would have been cheaper to go to the centralized dispatch with the county?
Yes.
And we intentionally decided to spend, I've seen numbers of, $500,000, like $500,000 on whatever this software is.
Don't quote me, but I believe at the time for the fire department to go to the county, It was like $110,000 a year out of the fire department's budget alone
Okay.
that they would save.
Okay.
And then, yet equipment-wise, I believe with the new renovation, I've heard upwards of $250,000 to $500,000 in upgrades to equipment.
Just as a citizen, it concerns me in the idea that if someone broke into my house, there's any expectation that somebody had when they made these decisions that I would think, let's call Shawnee's direct number and not the number that my 3-year-old son might know already by heart. Right. I mean, we're taught that from the time we can walk, that you call 911 when you have an emergency.
Well, and that 2 or 3 minutes is a lifetime.
If someone breaks into my house 2 minutes later, I don't have time to talk to somebody else. I at that point, I have to make my own decisions.
Yeah, which is why I'd love to hear from somebody, if you're listening, and you can explain to me what the benefit would be. I would love to hear it, because there has to be one. We can't have fiscally made a more expensive purchase and decision that also happens to be less safe, more time consuming. I am much like when I asked Mr. Neff about what does that Chevy Tahoe do? Can you explain it to me? I would love somebody to explain to me what the benefit is of having a secondary dispatch person.
Yeah, that's questions for people above my head, but they're fantastic girls. They do a great job.
I'm sure
but yeah,
they're fantastic. I have no doubt
the
that
time
they do a good
time
job.
to lay alone. Yes, if you're having a heart attack or your house is on fire, 1 to 2 minutes is significant time.
And so you said that there's times that you're looking at that computer and you see things come across. I mean, you're sitting there. You guys are here to serve your community. When you see a fire come across that, I mean, do you have to wait for your own personal dispatch to actually head out, or
if we're in the
are there times that you are already on the road by the time you get told by your dispatch that you need to be on the road?
We're on the pad pulling out on the Fort Amanda Road. Yes, we'd see it pop up on the TV in the kitchen, and we head out and start getting dressed.
How long does it take you from, let's just say you're all sitting there, whatever, playing cards? How long from the time all right, time to go? What is that time frame usually before trucks are pulling onto Fort Amanda Road?
Before bedtime, we're allowed, policy I think is 2 minutes. Obviously during the day when we're out there, it's a lot faster than that.
I'm gonna have to get my kids involved in this because they take about 20 minutes.
And then
if they're standing at the door, they take 20
late
minutes.
night, 3 minutes is kind of the goal, but it can be 10, 15 seconds. It can be pushing the
Right.
2 minutes.
Now, one thing I did not learn about until today was the different types of fire trucks. I think I see a fire truck and, hey, that's a fire truck. But there's different types. So could you walk through the different types of equipment and vehicles that you have and what the purpose of each is?
There's 2 ambulances, which is
Straightforward.
Then there's engine 2 is the fire engine, carries the water and has the hose, puts out the fires, and it has extrication equipment for car accidents and stuff like that. The ladder truck, has the 100-foot platform ladder on it to get up high and put out the fires in the commercial and the industrial world. The Tahoe for the command truck, that's where the shift officer, he doesn't have to put his fire gear on. They get in that and take off to get a head start on the call. That way, if it's something severe, they can do their little run around 360 and get an idea what needs to be done while the rest of us are responding. And it has some medical equipment and stuff like that in it, hazmat equipment. Then the new tanker that just came in, that's going to be very beneficial to the old one that it replaced, because now you can put more than 2 people in it. It's got water for the rural non-hydrogen areas. What am I missing? In the back building, there's the pickup truck with the small tank on it. That's the grass truck, and it has the snowplow on it for the winter.
Okay. And so that tanker truck, I learned there's just like you almost dump a bin off the back and you fill that up with water, and then it just goes back and gets more water.
Yeah, it's got I think a 3,000 gallon portable swimming pool on it that you unfold.
Okay.
That 1 or 2 people can get out and unfold, and the flip of a switch, and 2 minutes, the 2,500 gallons of water is in the pool.
It seems like you guys can go through that water pretty quick with that.
You can flow a lot of water. How'd you like the Go Tribe that's on the front of it?
I might have missed the Go Tribe on the front. Oh well, no, the decorative on the front.
On the very front, under each headlight, it says Go Tribe, and then on the back doors on the side, put a little school pride on that when we designed it.
That's right. That was pretty cool. Yeah. I mean, my kids were in heaven.
To be fair, when you spend that much money on a vehicle, they should let you put whatever you want on it.
Oh, and we did really well, but the sky is the limit on the fire trucks. Like the one that replaced was 2004 model maybe, and it was maybe $400,000. This one was pushing 1.3 million. And you can go over $2 million on trucks nowadays.
Money goes quick for big equipment like that, I would imagine, which I don't know if this is a good time or not to move towards like the hot button issue that we keep coming across is this levy from a couple of years ago. What is your overview of that levy situation?
It's time to give the people what we told them we would do. Is my personal opinion. You know, we sold it to get a new fire station, to update the equipment, and to hire more people. And we have gotten two new fire trucks and 2 new command cars, which the one command car was donated from local industry. But, you know, equipment-wise, we're fulfilling the promises.
So they checked that box.
Yes, they checked that.
Staffing-wise, are we better or worse than we were when
I believe the levy was ran to add an additional person per shift, and then long-term goal up to, I think, to have 9 on each shift, and then longer term another fire prevention officer.
So we're a little behind on the staffing promise.
We're behind on that, but the station-wise, you know, that was when that first happened. Chief Truesdale had us sit down, and we had 3 or 4 architects come in. We had a committee that had a trustee on it, and then some firefighters. And, you know, we talked with what we wanted, and, you know, the studies and everything. You know, do we rebuild where we're at? Do we go buy a lot elsewhere? And all we wanted to do was let's get a concept, get the idea of what we want, get a price, and then kind of go from there. And then there was all kinds of different options on funding and, you know, saving up money. But now that in the last 5 years, you know, prices have gone way out of control, and, you know, they threw out a number out of a hat on what to save for. And now they're, you know, they're doing a pretty good job of putting money back. You know, there's all these accusations online of, you know, misappropriating money, and, you know, the township's not defending that. And to my knowledge, you know, all the money's accounted for. And I think the last time I looked at the ledger, there's, I think, a little over $1 million in the building fund and around $750,000 in the capital fund for equipment and trucks. So, you know.
Well, so because when you say, like, you know, this truck that we just got was $1.3 million, and the Tahoes and some of the other things that have been updated, the levy was for what, 4-ish million?
I forget.
I think it brings in $1.7 million a year.
Right. That money goes quick when you're talking about in the scale of firefighting equipment is expensive.
Oh yes,
$1 million goes like that. We've heard a lot of people say, "Hey, where's my firehouse?" But there was many things on the levy that it was going to help clear up some deficit spending from previous years, and it was going to help with equipment and staff. And if there's money being saved back, like, I guess what would be the reasonable expectation? You know, if they'd have just put it all into the firehouse, could it have even been built with $4 million?
Man, it's kind of like your house. The sky's the limit. You know, that first architect from Cincinnati, he showed, you know, here's a $3 million fire station. Here's a $12 million fire station. Just depends on what you want, what you put in it, and, you know, how well you decorate. But I think just the biggest thing that we wanted, and to make the public happy and to make us happy, was design what we want, get the concept, make a poster. Here's what it's going to look like, put it out front, post it on social media, get it out there, and it's going to cost $6 million, $7 X, whatever the cost is.
Right.
And okay, we want to save $3 million, $4 million, $5 million, and hopefully by the spring of 29 we can break ground. Just show them what it's going to be.
Do you think that would be, we talked earlier about, morale and keeping people at this fire station versus them taking a bigger paycheck in a different area. If we had a more set date of, like you said, 2029, 2030, whatever the year is down the road, and had identified, hey, every year we're going to put $500,000 into it or $1 million into it. What do you think that would do for morale, not just amongst the firefighters, but in the community?
I think it'd be very, very beneficial. Here's what we want. This is what we're going for. As soon as we get the money saved up, give people something to wait on, to have hope for and the promise that it's coming, instead of where we're at right now. Well, we don't know, maybe. And then, picking to renovate the building, every architect that we've had said that it wasn't cost effective to put money into it. The building sits on an old dump. I think Paul Neff is a great local historian of Shawnee Township, and he can tell you that.
He'll bring the documents to prove it.
And then the backyard, there's not much room to grow there, but if that's what they choose to do, we got to make the best of it, make it work. But to have the promise and this is what's coming, great, okay. And that would make a lot of people out in the public happy because it shows them what their money's going for.
Was the expectation when this was passed a couple of years ago, did you think in 4 years we'll have a fire station? Has it been 4 years? When was this passed?
See, that was passed in
2021, right?
So about 4 years.
Yeah, it's been 4 years. Under Chief Trues, we had KZF out of Cincinnati picked, and we met with them, and they showed us the funding options, and I believe it was around $350,000 a year is what was appropriated from the levy money to go towards a station payment. And it's going to take a year or more to sit down and study it, design it, do all your testing and all that stuff.
So start building.
Yeah, and then it's going to be another year and a half to build it. So it's almost a 3-year project. So the expectation was we should be seeing something for our money by right now.
Right.
American Township started well after us, and they've got steel going up now. Lime was talking about new stations. They'll most likely beat us, but we're saving money, but we don't know what we're doing with it.
One thing that pivot a little bit that is very important here is the culture. Can you describe, at the end of your time with the fire department, what was the culture like of the Shawnee Fire Department as recent as July when you left?
It's the culture is kind of like a roller coaster. There's good days, good years, bad years, and it's just when I left, it was the day they walked Chief Miller out. That was May 31st, so almost 5 months ago. Wow, if they can do that to him, they can do that to any of us. And what was it for? And then we didn't have a chief, and then so everybody was like, well, if they can walk him out, we're just going to kind of put our heads in the sand and sit back, and not much was getting done. And then all the guys start turning on each other, and then little squabbles turn into big squabbles. And then, we're leaving or transfers, who's getting promoted. And it just isn't good.
In your time there, what do you believe the role that trustees actually play in your day-to-day operations of a fire department?
I've been through a lot of trustees, and they've all pretty much stayed out of the fire station for whatever reason. Didn't have much interaction with us. There's been a couple. Chris Settlemeyer, her son was a firefighter, and both her sons are firefighters, and both had worked for Shawnee at some time. But she would stop in a lot during the morning, have a cup of coffee, say hi, go up and talk with the chief, ask how we were doing. Retired Chief Belton was a trustee. He would stop in, ask about the family and stuff like that, and pop in from every now and then. But not sitting down around the table like this, have a lunch with us, have a meal with us. Hey, what do you guys think of this? What do you guys think of that? That's one of my biggest things with Shawnee. We've never had the all plans forward have been secret. There's never a 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, 10-year plan on what we're doing. It's just kind of swing by the seat of your pants and make it work. And
do you think that that's because there isn't one, or do you think it's just not being shared down the road? It's not making its way, through fire chief, platoon chief, what have you. It just doesn't make its way down.
With the 3 in-house right now, I think they have a plan that they want to do, and they're just not letting anybody be a part of it. And, that's, again, not a good thing. We're the fire chief, and we're the experts in the field. You kind of give us the guidelines to follow, and we'll give you our ideas. And then at the end of the day, collective what's best for the community per se. And then to get back to, what they should be doing, I think they need to interact with, there's 50 some employees at Shawnee Township between all the different entities. Mm-hmm. It shouldn't be hard to come in and sit down with them and get to know them all, feel like we are a family, and stuff like that. And about the only time they walk in is when you're in trouble, it seems like here lately.
Okay.
But to tell us how to do our jobs, not so much. To be a liaison between us and the school and the businesses and the residents, absolutely. Get ideas from us and vice versa.
When you, because you're going to be voting, when you look to vote for a trustee, what are the specific qualities that you're looking for? Obviously, you have experience with the 2 incumbents on the ballot, but then you've got 4 people who are going to say the right things, and they certainly are friends of the fire department. How do you kind of judge the quality of the person? What are you looking for?
It's me personally, it seems to be the same answer that's been said a lot at the thing. Just a fair, honest person. Not all of them. You're not going to know, like what you said earlier, the fine inners of the police department, the fire department, the dispatch, and the road guys. You might know something of one of them, but not all of it. Someone that's willing to come in and understand what we're doing, have active conversations. We're not always going to agree on everything, but sit down and listen and discuss things and get to know us and get to learn our job and, want to do what's best for us in the community and stay within our means, being responsible for the budget and the money. And it's, like the one question said, I've heard Shawnee has a $15 or $16 million budget, and off the numbers from my head, I might be closer to 10 million, but the people that are used to $10 million budgets never run for office. So it's just good people.
Have you made up, I don't want to put you on the spot and ask you, who are you voting for? But do you have an idea if the voting was tomorrow, do you have 2 people in mind already? Or is it coming down to in this last week, I'm going to make up my mind?
My mind's, I know who I'm going to vote for. Yes. As long as no skeletons come out of the closet here in the last 2 weeks, it's not going to change.
Not 2 weeks. What are we down to?
10 days.
10 days.
Yeah.
I know who I'm voting for. And, I've spoke with all 4 of the new candidates. Actually, I speak with almost all of them weekly, if not more than that. I just wanted to be fair and honest with them and give them a honest opinion of what's going on so they know what they're walking into. I did the same thing with Joe Recker when he ran 2 years ago, sat down on the tailgate of his truck, and it's just like, you're running. He lives in my neighborhood. He's my garbage guy. It's like, here's some things you're running into here that you may not know about, just so you're not blind coming in.
And that's one thing that I think is difficult for Matt and I, or at least me, to understand is truly what are the responsibilities of the trustee, because a lot of them are their answer that we've talked to is trust the leadership that's in place, and just have good relationships with those people. And obviously you need to be involved in doing what's best for the community. It just seems as a voter, I'm not. Yeah, it's tough to know who's standing out above the other people out there. So,
When do you worry? Like some people have made it very clear they do not like the two incumbents, and there is a firefighter. The union has made a post about who they haven't endorsed anybody, but
the union made a post.
The union has made a post as a whole. Now, like, who does that union speak for? Because they've made it very clear. There was a Facebook message that went out that was, don't vote for these two incumbents. But there was no endorsement of anybody else, which is usually the other way around. Usually it's we endorse candidate A, B, C, what have you. Who is, who is making that decision for the union to do that? And do you think it's a good idea, or is that just sort of sowing more issues within the community?
Typically in the police, fire, and probably all when it comes to politics, if you stick your neck out there and back an individual and they lose, it's not good for you.
Right.
And the union did that. Was that 2 years? The one election, we backed two candidates and they didn't win. And, is that some of the retaliation is from that? Maybe, maybe not.
Well, they seem to be doing it again. Well, not in terms of maybe backing the wrong ones, but specifically campaigning against two people.
And speaking on the union's Facebook page, the union has the Facebook page, and there's a few individuals that have the rights to that. But in fear of retaliation, because it does happen, we're part of the International Association of Firefighters, and there's an Ohio Association of Firefighters also all together. We reached out to them, and their social media guy is the one running the page and making the post. That way there's some union protection. Mm-hmm. It's but there's some people that it's a majority vote. Some people agree with it, some people don't agree with it, but in the end it's the majority vote. So yeah, this time they're not, to my knowledge, I'm not there anymore, but they're not backing particular people, but they're very adamant, as the post said, that vote no for Seminole and Spillis.
Do you worry starting over with two new trustees who, for 4 years, like them or not like them, they do have 4 years of experience on the job. They are 4 years into it. And I think it's unfair to say they've done...
Won a few more. Spielis has been on.
Right, Spielis has been on for a while.
Yeah.
I think it's unfair to say they've done nothing good, because I think they've done some really good things for the community.
Every person that come on here, and I was going to say that, it's difficult for me. I don't like saying anything negative about these two, because first off, I don't have any information to really base that off of. There certainly are some fiery opinions and thoughts on the two incumbents, but... everyone talks about all the positive things that are happening in this community. There's a lot of really good growth. You don't hear anything from the other departments. The fire department is very clear about their stance, and so the people running have been.
I worry, what makes the fire department, in your assessment, confident that the next two people, if they're two different people, will be any better than what has been under this trustee administration?
Why is the grass greener on the other side?
And it's
always,
and that's the hard thing is, the fire department can seem like a bunch of whiners because you're only hearing that side of it. You're not, they're not speaking on their behalf.
And so much like the dispatch center, I'd also love to speak to those individuals.
There's two sides to every story, and when you only hear one,
yep.
And then, but it's like I'm pretty vocal on Facebook about things that I've lived through and went through.
Seen a few posts from you,
and well, that's lies. That's lies. I've lived it, unless you come in and be a part of it. I'm not stretching the any of it by any means. But the new people coming in, I'll start with the incumbents first. If they vote yes on everything, they never vote no on anything. You can't come to 100% agreement on everything.
Right.
And then, with it, transparency gets thrown out there a lot. There's nothing,
It's kind of like world peace at a Miss America pageant. They're all rooting for that, If I'm ever running, I know I'm going to put transparency on my paperwork.
Yes, but it's unless you go to the meetings, you don't know what's going on. There's nothing on the Facebook pages. There's nothing on the website. They took their numbers down. There's no meeting minutes, and if you do look at the meeting minutes, there's no discussion. The last meeting I went to. They voted to sell an ambulance. Discussion? None. Well, what ambulance? How much? Where are we selling it? They voted to pay off a vehicle.
Takes me longer to decide where I'm going to dinner.
Yeah, no kidding. You're paying off a vehicle, or is it a pickup truck? Is it a snow plow? Is it a $500,000 fire truck? And in that instance, it's ended up being the newer engine, and it was almost $400,000 or more that they paid. But there's nothing in the discussion, and it's a very simple thing to fix. American Township, for example, they've got their check ledger on their website. You can see what they're spending. You don't have to do the records request. And poor Mr. Cooley, the fiscal officer, for a part-time job, he's working 60 hours a week answering questions with all these information requests and everything. And it's just like, if you just put it out there, it would solve a lot of problems and take when seems like they're hiding stuff when nothing's being posted. And then, for the new ones, they're all for, running on that. And, it seems like they're beating a dead horse there, but it's a real easy fix. And with today's social media and everything, nobody reads the Lima News anymore. And if you do open the article and you don't pay, it's all scribbly, so you can't read it. But if you get on any of the social media networks, it's right there in front of you. And
the problem is
it's free to be open and transparent.
Yeah,
it
absolutely.
Is. We believe me, John and I make $0 doing this. It's free to put this out there. Like it's not
for now.
Right, for now.
For now.
Right.
And it's
we're going to keep doing this. It is not going to be free.
And hats off to you guys. This is fantastic. This is a beautiful shop, and I didn't realize Kenny was your first podcast.
Very first.
And you've done all four of the new ones. And hopefully the other two come in so they can do their side.
Now, there's a lot of talk about Chief Miller. You got to work under Chief Miller, and in February of 2024, he was hired on, and the people that signed his contract and brought him on are the two incumbents that are on the ballot. They're the ones who signed off on him. So it was Spielis and Simonello. In your experience with Chief Miller, what were your impression of his leadership style, his communication style? Tell us a little bit about him.
And I'll rewind a little bit. I had Chief Litzy for 6 months before he retired, and then it was Chief Belton, and then Chief Mosier, and then Chief Truesdale. So Chief Miller would have been my fifth chief. The rest were all in-house. We're older, experienced guys, and now the department's getting younger. And at the tail end of there, there was obvious animosity between Chief Truesdale and the trustees, and whatever that problem was, we don't know. Communication was obviously a big part of it. We didn't know which side to believe or to trust. And, the union did a survey, and we did a survey on inside the firehouse from the chief down to the newest firefighter, on culture and all those, covered different topics, and everybody had their anonymous say, but obviously some people made it so you could pick out who it was without naming names. And then we did one on the trustees with issues, and, we gave that to them in early fall of 23, I believe. and they kind of ignored the one about them and just focused on the fire department. And, so the firefighters were partly responsible for Chief Truesdale being forced out into retirement. And then they moved up a guy to acting chief, and then they posted the position. And my personal take, it was time for an outsider. The inside guys, it was just the good old boys clubs, and guys got promotion time on their head, and then it just became about me, and backstabbing and stuff like that happened. And it's just not good for morale and culture. A thing that we said was, well, the devil is better than the devil that you don't know.
Sure.
But in my personal opinion, it was time for an outsider to come in, and the trustees had a guy picked. They couldn't come to terms. They had a second guy picked, couldn't come to terms. And then, Chief Miller accepted it, and he came to Shawnee from Van Wert with, I think, 15 years experience in. He's a younger, I think, mid-30s. The unknowns, that's pretty young, but, after time getting to know him, being the senior guy, it's kind of mine to ask questions, how things go and like that. And after getting to know him, he was a swell guy, very intelligent guy. Do we agree on everything? Absolutely not. But, head was in the right place. He was definitely a fire chief for the firefighters. He'd work out with us, eat with us. Just a little tidbit that, the public don't know. His first year, when he came in, we had contract negotiations, which can be a headache. Promotions, had to hire one or two people. And then in February, we had when Matt Myers passed away on the anniversary, the union held a meal, and we invited the family in and our families in. We just had a little memorial meal. That was in his first 2 months. Hey, Chief, this is what I've got planned. Hey, whatever you need. He even donated money out of his pocket for it. He gave a nice speech, and it was well received. So, he was all about public relations. And then his first year was one that even the best, most qualified chiefs in the big cities would have had a tough time getting through. And then he had the department running in the right direction, obviously with stuff from the levy and that. Things were moving forward. He was wanting to move forward. And then for whatever reason, he's had a nice little 5-month stressful headache here.
Now you say for whatever reason. Can you speculate on anything that you might know? Is there any information available about why he was suspended? And if you're not allowed to answer, I get it, but just thought I'd ask.
I talk with him several times a week since he's been off. Just checking in on him. He still wants to come back. The firefighters want him to come back. Yeah, there are some that don't. But the unions even gave him money towards legal fees. So, that shows you a lot there. And it's just, 5 months. So 150 days now we're pushing here. To date, he still doesn't have in writing what he did wrong. He has talks with the attorneys on what he did. And then going through the interrogation and stuff, he's not a yes man, is my speculation. And there's things that have happened, all could have been handled with conversations and stuff, but one trustee in particular wasn't happy with it and, disciplined this guy. I did. I had a verbal talk with him, a write-up. That's not good enough. Well, the fire chief's in charge of discipline. You're the trustee. You're not the fire chief. And it's funny you say that because in the one guy's exit interview, let me look at my phone here real quick.
Yep.
The previous trustees during that investigation said, we have department heads that we expect to run their departments. That was a quote from a trustee, And then
current trustee? Or?
That was Mike Keith, a previous trustee that said that. But Spielis and Simonella were in on that interview, And And then also in that same interview, they said, we want our employees to have goals, and then it's up to us to help them reach them goals. And if they have problems, it's up to us to help them get through those problems. Well, why aren't you helping this guy? You just send him home, and now put your shoes in Chief Miller's perspective. Since he's left, he was working on his budget. I don't think he got that done, and that was part of the problem. They wanted him to come up with a way to save $5 million for the new station. Well, he said, I want to get my budget done for 2026. As soon as I get that done, I know where the numbers are, and I'll work on that. Well, it must not have been good enough. So now he's off. He had his budget. He has his eye. So if and when he returns, he wants to run off this budget. Now everything's the acting chief and the trustees are doing their own thing and spending money. So he's not going to know where he's at. They've made big changes operational wise without any say from him. Selling trucks, hiring people. They just promoted a person, which there was a promotional list, but man, that's a major lick on the chin to be the fire chief and not be able to be part of that stuff. Thankfully, they let him come in for my retirement party, so he got to come in for a little bit to say goodbye to me. So, that was nice of him.
So do you think overall that Chief Miller, if he comes back, has what he needs to bring this department together? Because it sounds like maybe there's some internal, wounds that have happened over the years, but there's certainly some external factors that are leaning on this. So it's a complicated situation, and everything that he's going through. Do you think that he's got the mental fortitude and the right set of skills and just the personality to come out of this on the other side and make the fire department and the township be a better, more harmonious place?
Yes, he's. There will be some hard conversations had with some people, and he has all that you mentioned to get the department back on track. But there's going to be some major changes for him coming back, in 5 months with the people leaving and to get back on track and to get back in the swing of things.
I'm going to be honest. It seems from an outsider, and I'm not a firefighter. I don't even know that I personally know any, to be honest with you. It seems...
you know one.
Well, I know one now.
And two, Paul Neff?
Oh, well, right. I don't personally know either one of these gentlemen. Thank you. It seems crazy to me if somebody put me on administrative leave that certainly for 150-ish days, and I felt like it was unwarranted. Why? I would not want to stick around. I'll just be honest about it. I don't want to come back to that place and stick around. And it's something that we've asked some of the candidates running who have been in contact with him. Why in the world do you think he would want to come back, especially if there are the same two incumbents? And like we've said, it's a better than 50% shot. They're both there. And it's a real high percent that one of the two of them at least is there. Do you have any idea, speculation? And I don't want to put you on the spot, but why in the world would you want to do that? Would you do that?
If the incumbents win, he won't be back. My opinion.
Even if let's just say they release the findings of the investigation and nothing. It was much ado about nothing. He didn't fill out a form right when he took a vehicle. It's something small, and it just took a long time to go through the process. And they go, hey, you're back scot-free. We're glad to have you back. You don't think he's coming back with these two?
With these two, no, because the one definitely will not quit until he gets his way. It's like,
Sure.
You throw enough darts, eventually one's going to stick, and I was on paid leave for 2 weeks during a disciplinary hearing for myself, and I know how stressful that was on me and my family. I can't imagine 5 months, but if you know you're innocent and didn't do anything to lose your job, the firefighter mentalities are a little different. He's wanting to come back with new administration and get back to it and go with it. But like I said, if the incumbents win, he won't be back. And if the wedding investigation takes 5 months, St. Mary's police chief was under investigation. They found him wrong, whatever he did, and he was demoted. It took less time. Lima police had a forceful use at the McDonald's there on an incident, and it was completed in less time. To our knowledge, the last person she interviewed, which she was in England, by the way, on vacation when she interviewed him, that's how expensive this investigation is going to be, was in July.
It is a long time, but you do want to get it right. To be fair, Major League Baseball has been investigating Emmanuel Clase on alleged gambling for a very long time as well, with no answer. So investigations dates get moved, things get shuffled. Lawyers are lawyers. Like, things happen. Things can take a while. I guess we trust. You've spoken very highly of Chief Miller, and the current trustees hired Chief Miller. They also thought very highly of him.
I think that's important to note is, less than 2 years ago, this was the guy that they picked to bring this department out of what they view was a troublesome department. So even if these two guys are fantastic, this whole process doesn't reflect positively on them, because if they are right and Chief Miller deserves to be suspended or whatever the result of this investigation is, well, then they didn't make a good pick from the start. And so now they're in this weird position where, well, if this investigation results in nothing, then why did it take 5 or 6 months? But if it does result and there was something severe that comes out that he did, well, then they didn't do a very good job. And that's part of the job of a trustee in hiring somebody.
But on the flip side,
I think it's tough. I don't think it's easy to do, but I think that's an objective thing to say.
Right. But on the flip side, everybody we've spoken to has spoken very highly of Chief Miller.
Yeah.
And these guys made that decision. So we either trust the trustees that, hey, they made a good call.
And trust everyone we've talked to.
And trust everyone. Chief Miller's the guy. And 2 years ago, they said, he's our guy.
I've heard nothing but good things from every single person
They
I've
made a
talked to
great call
on this podcast.
So I don't understand how they can make a great call 18 months ago or whatever it's been, and then now all of a sudden they're making a terrible call related to the same individual. That's where like, and I've had people ask me.
They're in a catch-22 right now.
Like, how do you justify, did they make a great call then and a bad call now, or a bad call then and a bad call now? Like, it can't be both.
Well, here's part of it. When you have people within the fire department that are going around the chief and feeding you information, the backstabbing that I was mentioning and talking about, it was done with Chief Truesdale's investigation. It is going on with Chief Miller's. So, well, okay, this guy wants the job. He's giving us information. Well, it's misinformation. It's just one person's perspective, and it's darn right wrong.
So you think there are firefighters
absolutely
that are actively saying, hey, trustee so-and-so, be on the lookout because this guy's not as great as what we thought he was?
Absolutely.
It's an interesting puzzle. And to be completely honest, I don't like having to talk about the fire department as much as we have.
Well, if you're the police department, you've got to be very unhappy because they have an actual levy up for renewal this year, and they've gotten zero play. Like if they had an agent, he would be very unhappy with the amount of work they're getting in regards to this levy.
Thankfully, the Shawnee community loves their public service and
generally, yes,
passes levies pretty strongly. So good things could happen with the police department, and they shouldn't have anything to worry about.
Right.
What's your favorite part about being at Shawnee?
Right now, watching my daughter run up and down the soccer field.
How old is she?
She's 13. She's on Shawnee Select.
Okay.
I think the U14 team.
Yeah, okay. My wallet's familiar. Yes.
It's fun.
I haven't got my kids aren't that age yet, but I have heard that the soccer fields are just flooded with teams out there. You go out there and there's just 80 games going on.
That is one thing I like. On you go to the complex and you've got the little kids here, her team's here, other teams over here, tennis going, football going, softball going, baseball. There's just everything is booming and participating. And then, then my youngest, he was playing his first year of tackle football, so going out with that and enjoying that. And then my oldest is on the esports team, so,
What kind of games are they playing on the
John
esports?
was very
I want to learn more
infatuated
about
with
this.
esports.
Like, do they have multiple games that they play when they compete, or does he specialize in one?
He's on the Mario Kart team.
Oh,
Absolutely. Playing Mario Kart and getting college scholarships for Mario Kart. And I got grounded for playing it too much.
my parents would have been so proud of me and the scholarships I would have gotten for video games.
I think it's Mario Kart, Fortnite,
Oh yeah.
and then is it Rocket League?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Rocket
And then
League.
there's one or two, and a little plug. Shawnee's won state championships for the esports teams the last few years.
I heard we went to state. I didn't realize we were winning
Yeah,
state.
they've won and won.
Do we have a banner up?
I have no idea, but I know we escorted them with the fire truck for
Okay.
the 1 year.
Man.
But I've never been in Shawnee's to see what they do, but during the summertime I took them out to Ohio State out there for one, and it's a lounge like this with TVs and couches and game chairs and game systems everywhere.
I was in Vegas, and I would imagine they do national championship type things, and it's in the Luxor, the Pyramid, and I mean huge esports thing. I walked in there, and there's kids lined up on computers and just a huge big screen with stadium seating. It was something else.
Yes.
Different world.
EA Sports, that's my game, but I lost my touch. My 8-year-old destroys me.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to that day, but
It comes quick.
we've covered a lot of things. I want to make sure, is there anything else related to the fire department that you think it's important for the public to know?
Or related to anything.
Yeah.
Just, it's a great group of guys, and we have one female. She is fantastic.
Oh, that leads me to a question. Go ahead. But I have a
They just want
question.
to do their job, go out and serve the public. The public supports them well, and it's another thing. The amount of food that's brought into the fire department, from cookies to meals to pizza, it's just fantastic. And they don't like all this limelight and all this squabble. They just want to do their jobs and be left alone. Give us the task, let's go do it, and work through this, and let's do what's right.
We had asked, I believe, Mindy, and she had mentioned that there now is a female in the department. As it pertains to, like, it's a small area, and the sleeping quarters, there was only one. What has been the workaround in such tight quarters with there now being a female in the department?
Well, we've got one bedroom, bunk room, so to be, and there's fold down beds in the wall, and the 3 shifts share them. There was that big thing when they were looking to hire. Well, she needs this, she needs that. We need to kick the chief out. She needs to have his office, and it's like, let's ask her what she wants, what's going to make her comfortable. And at that time, she was on my shift. She wanted to be in the bunk room, so okay, guys, we got to put gym shorts on, sleep in gym shorts. And then, we only had one shower for the firefighter, so we put a little slide magnet on there that says, open, close. So when somebody's in there, that way there's no surprises and issues. And then there's a shower up front, so if the chief's gone during the day, there's an extra shower up there. But, that's the big thing is with the new station and that having facilities for all that stuff, which the new thing with new stations is instead of having one big bunk, everybody has their own individual space.
Is there how many fire stations would you say you've gone into over your?
Oh man,
a lot.
A lot.
Is there one that sticks out where you're like, if I could have this setup in Shawnee, we'd be golden?
There's so many to choose. My favorite has been one down in the Dallas community. When I was down on vacation, I stopped in, and it's just what you can do and what communities do. And then you don't even have to visit them anymore, but social media, people share their new stations and their seminars for it. It's just, there's some fantastic ones. And just take a little bit of each one and put it together.
Well, Ryan, I think we're officially into record territory for our podcast length here. So you're going to have the longest one to date. So congratulations on that. Would you like to extend this any further? Is there anything else that you want to talk about?
No, your hat's not worth talking about this season.
Gosh, this is just embarrassing.
I was a season ticket holder for 15 years, so I get it.
Yep.
Have you given up? Are you out?
I haven't given up. I gave up my tickets in 2015, and I haven't watched but one quarter of football this year of the Browns. So
I don't know if you're a college football fan, but while we were sitting here, we just got news Brian Kelly was fired from LSU. He's gone.
wow,
So
not not much into the college.
okay.
More of the Browns.
Well, it's a tough road.
It's a tough lifestyle.
I've been hit over the head with the newspaper many times watching them.
Sometimes I don't know if I'd rather walk into an active fire or watch the Browns play on a Sunday.
I could have a nice sports car that I've spent on tickets.
They're going to be, when they build that new stadium, whatever you were spending on season tickets before is going to be substantially higher.
And there's nothing, no product.
No, I don't know.
It'll be beautiful though.
Right. It'll look good.
Probably look better when Taylor Swift is performing in there. But anyway, neither here nor there. Ryan, I really appreciate your time. Appreciate you coming in here, giving us some insight into how the fire department works. I think it's very valuable. It's the hot topic that everyone likes to learn about. It's awesome to know all the great things that this department is doing in the community. I personally know a lot of the firefighters in there, and I understand in an entire department there's going to be some bad eggs. In any organization, there's some bad things that happen. But there's some really good people in there right now. And I think that there's a lot of positive things to keep in mind and to hope for. And I think we have to stay positive no matter what the result of this election is. We have to be able to move forward in a positive way and work together.
Oh, absolutely. The community voted on a levy and the path forward. There's a positive future. And, the means are there. It just needs to be done.
Okay. Couldn't agree more. Ryan Schott, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks, guys.